Hello, I thought I would share with you what essentially is the core of my library. What we have here are two very similar looking books, both with blue covers. One is slightly thicker than the other. And I can also draw on this book. We could call this extra canonical in what I can show in that. So the first book on the left, we have Holy Bible. So we'll open it up to the first printed page. Holy Bible, what is revealing and perhaps the most honest thing about it? It's the authorized King James Version. Interestingly, above that it says appointed to be read in churches. So the irony of that is all those what are called Bible thumpers really should not be taking the book out of the church. But I would invite you to look into the origin of the word church. To cut a long story short, you may wish to look into the attributes of a deity called Xerxes. We'll leave that at that. Now the other book, this book, comprises of 66 books, and it's got packed with a lot of things. It's the knowledge of good and evil. What if I was to pose to you the question that if you were to embark on a journey between point A and point B, and you knew somebody who had already undertaken that same journey, and you are sure in the belief and the feeling inside yourself that you can trust the instructions that are given, which would give you the best route between points A and B, would you follow that? See, on one hand, I can give you 66 books. On the other hand, what I can give you is the authentic librettos of the Wagner operas. So basically, you have the equivalent of 10 rather than 66 books. What is also interesting about this, it's copyright 1938. So you have a 9, which is completion, and a Phoenix reference in the 138. Götterdämmerung, The Twilight of the Gods. Copyright 1925. Die Meistersinger. Copyright 1889. And Das Rheingold, copyright 1904. So effectively, you can have a story in 66 books, or you can have a story in 10 dramas. But before we go into that, there's something else I wish to point out. The year 1764, a Phoenix year. If we go 51 years prior to that, we have a musical theory by the composer, writer and musicologist John or Johann Mattheson, who devised explanations for what the different keys in music mean. So C major is described as the most childlike, the most natural key, because it contains no sharps or flats. So if we go pretty much an equidistant, it's 49 instead of 51 years, we come to 1813, from 1713 to the birth of Richard Wagner, or to give his name in full, Wilhelm Richard Wagner. Well, Wilhelm is Will I Am, William. Richard means lion or shining one. And Wagner is basically in English is Wagner or Wagner. So a wagon is a chariot. So this is where this Shining Woman Tarot Guidebook comes in. So let's just look at the chariot here. It is card number 7, which is a divine number. And it says here, he climbs the wide mountains, he races the flood, he takes charge of the horses, he answers the riddles. That, I feel, is quite a perfect description of the genius of the composer Richard Wagner. Many years ago now, it may well be about 5 years ago, on this very channel there is a video entitled The Second Coming That Everybody Missed. From the perspective of taking that there was a Jesus Christ and there is a second coming. There are 3 degrees, as explained by Manly P. Hall in his great opera series of lectures, 3 of which are 3 of the dramas by Wagner. When he talks of the Meistersingers of Nuremberg, he talks about guilds, and there are 3 degrees: the apprentice, the one that can write the verses, the craftsman, the one that can set the verses to the music, and then there is the master that can write the libretto, compose the music, and much, much more. With this book, you have various geographical locations which you could make pilgrimages to. With this book, there is a place you can make a pilgrimage to, which is Bayreuth, the Festspiel House. The sheer will of Wagner had his own theatre built, which was opened in 1876 and has performed pretty much every year ever since, dedicated to this canon of 10 works, from The Flying Dutchman to Parsifal. It's an authentic libretto. Can we show this? Well, for a start, it is a syllable-for-syllable match between the English lines and what is sung in the German. So if we take a line from The Flying Dutchman, sung by the character Eric, "Centre, hear what I tell. A vision, heed thou its warning voice. On lofty cliffs I lay, and dreaming, I watched the mighty sea below. The sounding breakers white were gleaming, and towards the shore came rolling slow. A foreign ship offshore was riding. I marked her, weird-like, strange to see. 2 men their steps to me were guiding. The one I knew, thy father he. So you can see from that, it reads very much like Shakespeare in English, but critically, as it does in the German, it rhymes in the English. It is the most authentic. Unlike this, where the origins are quite dubious, and of course it is presented as being historical, this is not that deceptive. This is authentic librettos which are readily accepted as dramas. And we can take things like Tannhäuser, The Flying Dutchman, Rheingold, Valkyrie, Siegfried, Lohengrin, Tristan and Isolde, Götterdämmerung, Meistersinger and Parsifal, and we can know that they are not pretending to be history, they are dramas. But they draw on far older legends, myths, and possibly history. But what you are getting is something from a master that has written these librettos, set it to music. It comes from a single source. Now you may say, well, this has got Genesis, this has got Revelations, this has got Chronicles, and so on and so on. I put to you that this has equally as much as this, in a far more condensed form, that contains esoteric meanings. Wagner devised the leitmotif, spelt Leitmotif in German. It is a musical phrase that represents a character, an object, an action, or an emotion. See, the words are beautiful, it is poetry, and it can be taken out, it doesn't need to be read specifically in a religious building. But you would be doing yourself a disservice if you did not watch these dramas, which you can see on YouTube. But it is worth familiarising yourself with this. It's something Manly P. Hall talks about see Parsifal as many times as you can, because it is your story. This contains a Genesis in Rheingold. It has a fallen hero, which is the Jesus character in this. But that is a drama. That is a Greek stage play that has been literalized and has materialized and accepted as a historical fact when it is not. This makes no such pretensions to do so. It is far more honest. So if you were to study this and immerse yourself in this, you will get a lot more out of it than you will from this. It is far less confusing. It has plots. It has gods. It has a pilgrimage. It shows you the way. It unfolds every day. The same story unfolds every day. To some extent, Wagner has been demonized. Some will attribute him as a catalyst for world wars. But I put it to you that this has caused far more wars. Weighing up the two books, they are both a knowledge of good and evil. One is far more deceptive. And of course, we don't know the sources. Who is this Mark, John, or Luke, or Matthew? Who are these names? Who is this Adam, and so on? With this, you know there is one single author. You can readily accept there are characters, but what Wagner did was to put himself in each of these characters to write these stories. Whereas this takes many different stories and weaves it by multiple sources with deceptive intentions, Wagner weaves German mythology and legends, and it is a single source. Therefore, it is far more authentic than this. Now, to some of you, that will be seen as blasphemy. But that would be, I would suggest, just a reaction based on a belief system. Why am I doing this, recording this now? Mainly because, as far as I can determine, I share my born day with that of Wagner, just after the middle of May, in his case 1813, using this calendar. This physical avatar on Thursday, the 22nd. It's of 5860 vintage, so it's 21,254 or 55 shahs, because we use the day count system. See, this doesn't have a copyright. It can't have a copyright. It is of dubious origins. This is far more honest and equally revealing, more so, I would say, than this. So it's up to you. Do you want to go with 66 books or just want to look at 10? I'm not saying digging deep into this, seeing the esoteric meaning, the multi-layers of this is any less than this. What this has got in it, this has also in it. It has plots, it has twists, it has deceptions, it has corruption, it has lust, thirst for power, it has redemption. What can be said of this can also be said of this, and far easier to do it in 10 than in 66. Far more honest, far more authentic as well. So I still assert that Wagner was that second coming. What is channeled through Wagner comes from a singular source, manifesting through an artist who was a master, whose greatness was such that if we are to look at his lifetime, it can be argued that he had quite an appalling track record in the way he treated his friends, because he was answering a calling. What if I was to tell you that story is playing out again today? Because we can look at Wagner, or even someone like Claude Debussy, who we could say did not have the most conducive or favourable life. But we're in a realm of duality, and we're in a realm of contrasts. Things have to be played out, and often there has to be extremes and polarities as a catalyst to create the opposite. So, to use a modern day example of this story, I only have to think of Jason Brashears of Archaic's channel. From some quarters he is being demonised, taking this set script of, oh, look at his criminal record. Are you going to judge someone on what they have done? Can you change the past? You don't have to agree with it. But look what followed. He went through 26 years of being in prison. How else could you put the true chronology of this reality together without going through that, being given those 26 years that could only happen at that time? The same could be said for Wagner. It could only happen at that time. He had to come after Beethoven. He had to come after Carl Maria Weber. But he takes music in a new direction that reveals so much. I would invite you to listen to the Manly P. Hall lectures, and especially the summary that he gives about Parsifal, the Ring Cycle, and the Master Singers of Nuremberg, and also what Rudolf Steiner said of Wagner. Here you have a drama, or dramas, that are not pretending to be history. They are dramas, but they have equal, if not greater, truths in them than this. So I ask you, have I made a case for Wagner as a genius, as perhaps the ultimate artist? There are subtle levels you may not even realize every time you walk into a cinema, every time you walk into a concert hall. There are elements that Wagner brought in, most notably the sunken orchestral pit. So the music seems to come out of nowhere and does not interfere with the visual of what is happening on the stage in the dramas. That's just one example. He was innovative. I wonder how Wagner would be today with the use of computers, what he could have done had he been around today. But these 10 dramas are as relevant today as when Wagner composed them. And they have been subject to reinterpretation. You have, if you buy a CD or something, you will get a booklet, sometimes with a libretto, with a more modern translation. But of course, it doesn't match syllable for syllable. It doesn't read right. It is the authentic libretto. Whereas with this, where is the authentic originals? Whereas this, you have it. So I feel, well, it's up to you. Have I proven the case that this is better than this? Or at least equal to? Because I would suggest, if you study this, if you listen to the music, if you allow yourself to feel it, if you immerse yourself in these dramas, it will reveal so much to you. You will have revelations. You will be able to see the Genesis. You will be able to identify the different characters. I feel for the next video that will follow on for this, I'm going to come from a very different polarity from Archaic's channel and suggest to you that Yahweh is not an evil tyrant. It is just purely perspectives and what we are comparing it to. So in the external, it comes out as a very negative desert demon. But on the internal, I'm going to suggest it reveals something that this actually shows. If it can be read internally, likewise with this, see all these characters in these dramas as aspects of yourself. I feel you will get a lot out of this. So the reason I'm sharing this is the born day of this avatar, which happens to be the same born day of the composer Richard Wagner. So we're doing a flipping of the reality. So this is my birthday present in the physical realm, from the physical to all of you. I invite you to check this out for yourself. Familiarize yourself with the plots, with the synopsis. If you want a authentic libretto, it would take a while to do, but I could photograph every page and then send you a copy if that is something you would like. So this is my gift to all of you. So have I made the case for the genius of Richard Wagner being what we could call the second coming? The oversoul, God if you want to call it that, the creator, manifesting into an individual that is giving such profound messages in a most beautiful form, because our Father, who? art in heaven. This is art. This is a craft, because it has been crafted as something very deceptive. This is far more honest and genuine. As always, unconditional love to you all.